What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. In this episode I'm going to bang out some ball joints on this Corolla. So what's up everyone, I have my friend's Corolla back inside, and we're basically replacing the entire front suspension, but I just figured I would short form this down into just ball joints. Pretty standard and pretty easy to take care of. Toyota's used this design for a very long time. So I'm going to jack it up and get the wheels off and show you what's what. Once you have the car jacked up and the wheel is off, you can see it's basically just one castled nut with a cotter pin going through it, two nuts, and one bolt that holds it to the control arm. So there's really not a lot to get these ball joints out. The only really finicky thing that you're might have to deal with, you know, this is a 7-year-old car, is this cotter pin over here on the other side. Now this one doesn't look too bad, but I have a feeling it's still probably not going to come out of there. You can start trying to grab these legs, straighten them out, and start tapping on the end. Sometimes you get really lucky and you get enough coming out of this opposite side that you can grab a hold of and pull out. But usually these things all rust and seize inside the stud. Usually what I do is I'll grab a hold of one leg and work it back and forth till it snaps off. I'll grab a hold of the second leg and I'll do the same thing, grab it, work it back and forth till it snaps off. And then usually I can go ahead, get a wrench on there and actually turn the castled nut, and it'll break through everything else that's there and actually come free. Now I've already gone ahead and trimmed that cotter pin out and sprayed a little bit of penetrating fluid in there. I've got a 19 mil wrench and I've got it doubled up with another wrench. Now the steering is actually going to help us here, because turned all the way to the left the steering is locked up. And I think that cotter pin just broke. Okay, now I want to get the opened end of the wrench out of there, because eventually if I keep on trying to turn it, we're going to get locked up in between the nut and the CV axle. And it's pretty loose. Now I'm going to wind this off a few more threads, and then I'm going to start hitting right here with my hammer to crack this stud of the ball joint free of the steering knuckle. Okay, so that's definitely all loose. Just going to continue winding off this nut. So now that the castle nut's kind of loose and ready to drop out of there, you can go ahead and take these two nuts and bolt out of the bottom, the control arm. Now everything should be fairly loose and just pry apart. There's our ball joint out. Now just a couple quick tips. The hole for the cotter pin. Sometimes the hole comes and it's actually directed like at the steering knuckle or the control arm, and it makes it very awkward to put the cotter pin in afterwards. So if you just take like a pick or a really small screwdriver, you can drive it right through that hole and then give it a turn to where you need it to be, and then it sets in that much easier. Another thing is I like to use the original Toyota hardware on the bottom of the control arm to put it back in. It's just that much more high quality. So all I'm doing is I got my pry bar in the control arm to pry it back down. I will try and rest this ball joint back into place, and then just maybe swing this knuckle over far enough. It's pretty close. I'll start some hardware on the bottom here. Just enough room to get the new nut on. And get the bolt started. So I'll tighten up these 3 on the bottom, and then I'll work on this castle nut and get it tightened up. So I do not happen to know what the torque of these is offhand, but just make sure that they are tight. Alright, I need to borrow your guys' light. Looks like it should work. I just got to bend that cotter pin over on the other side and we're done. Actually, these guys do have a grease nipple. Quick little squeeze of grease. This should be good. Now we're really done. So as you can see, the ball joints are relatively easy to do. They're not going to take you very much time, and you can do them aside from any other suspension work because they don't really interfere with anything else. It's just that castled nut, 2 nuts on the bottom and the 1 bolt, and everything generally comes apart and goes back together quite easy on a Toyota. It's the same design across the, I don't know how many of Toyota's vehicles, but that ball joint design is not just Corolla. You'll find it on many other Toyota models. I hope this video helped you out and gave you a visual representation of what you might be doing at home. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.